What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. A few weeks, maybe a month or so ago, I put up a video on what it actually cost and then what I actually profited on buying, fixing, and selling the red 2006 Silverado that I bought from auction. Well, if you've seen my videos on the gray 2002 Silverado that I also bought from auction, you know I had the same plan with that one. The difference in that one was it came with a salvage certificate, so I needed to get it through a process here in Pennsylvania called enhanced inspection to get a reconstructed title for it. Well, I did all the repairs. I got it through the enhanced inspection. I got the reconstructed title, and a few days ago I sold it. So I thought, since you all enjoyed the video on the red truck so much, and I got a lot of positive feedback on that one, what it cost and what I made, I would give you the same thing on this gray one. So let's talk about the numbers. All right, so just the starting point. I bought the truck from Copart. If you've been a subscriber, you've heard my opinions on Copart before. Copart can be great. Copart can be terrible. My biggest advice, if you've never dealt with Copart, is be a knowledgeable buyer. Know what you're looking for, know what you're buying, and if at all possible, go and inspect it yourself before you actually purchase. And that said, Copart's fees continue to rise, so it just makes it that much more important to educate yourself and really inspect anything before you buy it from them. Now, this truck, the gray 2002 that I bought from them, it looked like a really nice truck, and in the auction description it said it was not running, but it also said that it was a flood truck. And flood trucks, you can they're always a gamble because you never know how much damage actually happened. You could buy a truck from a flood that was shut off during the flood. You know, maybe water didn't get high enough to really get inside of the engine, the transmission, the cab, etc. Or you could get one that has been totally submerged and sitting outside, and there's no evidence of that until you throw a battery in the thing or try to actually make it run. So flood trucks can be a gamble. From the information I was able to ascertain on this one, I thought it was going to be a pretty safe bet. So the price of the truck, my winning bid, as well as all the Copart fees and everything else, I paid $2,613 for the truck. And I thought, from looking at it, I thought that truck was worth at least $7,000 all said and done. And that left me some space to make some repairs and everything like that. Once I picked it up, I looked at it and it was in good shape, and brought it back here to start figuring out what it needed. Now, the biggest expense, the most expensive part this truck needed, I discovered was the engine was blown. And after really looking over the truck and figuring it out, what I think happened is the truck was driven into standing water of some kind, and because of the placement of their air intake, it had an aftermarket air intake on it, and other collateral damage to the lower valence in the front end of the truck, and as well as evidence of how high water had gotten underneath the truck. I think somebody drove it into standing water. It sucked water in through that aftermarket intake system and hydro-locked at least cylinder number 8. May have been a few others as well, but cylinder 8 was hydro-locked. It broke the connecting rod and poked the big hole right in the side of the engine block back by cylinder 8. Fortunately for me, and if you've been here you know this, the GMT 800 trucks are like my bread and butter. I deal in these things all the time, and I had another 6-liter LQ4 sitting on an engine stand that I had gotten a while back. I had put a cam in it, and I had put it together to put into one of my projects, but then never had a project that I thought it was right for. So I took that engine that I've had sitting on a stand, I put a stock cam back in it, And then I put the engine in the truck, and that brought it to running condition. Now, I didn't charge myself. I didn't include the value of that engine in my price figures here because, like I said, I've had it sitting here and I really was happy to have a way to get it out of my way. I don't know what or if I was ever going to put it into, so just getting it out of here, getting it out of my way, that was great for me. And I was able to fix a truck with it that I was then able to sell for a profit. Typically, I value one of those engines, a 6-liter LQ4, at about $1,600. But again, I didn't figure that into my prices here. If you're going to try to do something similar, you can use that number. Beside the engine, I had to buy a bunch of other things. I had to do some parking brake cables, some brake hard lines, windshield wipers, serpentine belt, tensioners, pulleys, a starter, some gaskets. Oh, what else? Some body panels. I had to repair rockers and cab corners, and even some paint. So all of my parts that I factored into this, I spent $651.34, which, really isn't terrible to get a vehicle back on the road. And it was all work that I was able to do myself. So I didn't have to pay anybody else to do the work. And that's a critical part of this. If you're going to try to buy a truck and fix it to flip it and sell it, you're probably going to need to do most of the work if you want to be profitable. Now, aside from the parts, I did spend some money on some other things too. I had to get the truck through enhanced inspection, like I said. And enhanced inspection, from what I've seen, is not a fixed price thing. And you may or may not have to have some add-on work done. The place that I found that would do my enhanced inspection is about a half hour from my house where I'm working. And even as good as I had this truck, there were still some things I missed. I didn't know it, so they were happy to teach me, educate me. One of the things that I missed was the exhaust needs to fully exit the body, and that is specific to enhanced inspection. There are exhaust systems that don't exit the body that are legal for a normal inspection, but enhanced, it has to exit the body line. So on this truck, the exhaust that dumped under the bed behind the rear axle was not sufficient. We had to add some extensions to move the exhaust all the way back, exiting the body, basically like a factory exhaust. I had a couple bump stops that the rubber had come off of. I had to fix those. There was 2 of the marker lights. I didn't have the right color bulbs in, had to fix those. And 1 or 2 other small things that they found in the enhanced inspection. But the place was really cool to deal with. They're called Sheeler's Garage. If you're familiar, maybe you're not. But basically, they called me, told me what it needed to get through the enhanced inspection, gave me a price to fix those things, which I thought was fair. It was more worth it to pay them to fix those things than it was to tow the truck back, fix it, and then tow it back to them again. So the enhanced inspection, as well as those few repairs that they had to make, that I asked them to make for me, it was $700. They gave me a little bit of a discount because I paid cash instead of a check, but $700 got the enhanced inspection and everything that I missed done for the truck to pass enhanced inspection. And I mean, that's substantially more expensive than a regular state inspection like I did on the red truck. The red truck, all I had to do was fix everything, take it through a regular state inspection. Here in Pennsylvania, a regular state inspection is only $38. And I knew everything. I didn't miss anything. There were none of those surprises like bump stops or exhaust that needed to exit out the side of the body. So that added a bit more to my expenses than I had originally anticipated. But fortunately, I had enough room that it really didn't hurt me. The other fees and costs, the tag and title work. So it's substantially more expensive to go from a salvage certificate to a reconstructed title than it is to just transfer a title, as you've probably already figured. My tag and title fees were $636. And that was getting all the paperwork together, photos, and I used a notary to help me with all of this. And all the application and stuff together, submitted and approved by Pennsylvania, and then get my reconstructed title in my name. So the vehicle could be tagged, insured, and put back on the road and driven. I did also have to pay a $5 fee to return the license plates after I sold the truck. Small amount of money, but coming from Maryland where it didn't cost anything, it's kind of annoying. I also got the truck detailed. I mentioned this in the video on the red truck. Guys, if you're trying to sell something and you want to get as much out of it as you can, get the thing cleaned. Even if you don't get it professionally detailed, get your garbage out of it, spray it off with a hose, give it a wash, vacuum it out. Like, try to present something that looks like you at least cared about it a little bit. I put a lot of work into this truck and I wanted to get as much out of it as I could. It was well worth spending $150 to get the truck fully detailed. The guy came to my shop to do the detailing, and I mean, he did a great job. The truck looked and smelled great. And it was, I mean, I really think having it cleaned up like that helped me sell it for a better price. Other things that I spent money on, I had to insure it. Now, my insurance company, I deal with Erie. The least pain in the butt way to do it is just put insurance on the vehicle for a year period. And then after I sell it, just call my agent and they cancel the insurance and I get refunded whatever is left. It was $222 to insure the truck for a year. That breaks down to about $18.50 a month. I had it insured for about 2 months, so it cost me $37 in insurance to be able to drive the truck, make sure that it was all good, everything working and doing what it's supposed to, and there weren't going to be any problems with it. Like I said, I had it insured for about 2 months. I drove it around doing errands and this and that and the other thing for 2 months. And I didn't have any issues with it, so that was able to give me the confidence to know that when I sold it, I wasn't going to have any problems. I wasn't going to hear back from whoever bought it and be like, hey, this engine blew up after you sold it to me, or anything like that. I knew that I was selling a truck that it was a good truck, it was going to drive, there weren't going to be any issues with it. I did put gas in the truck. Now, when I do this, typically I'll buy the first full tank of gas with money from my business, and then all of my erranding, driving around, test driving, so to speak, I'll buy the gas from there. So I spent about $86 on gas in the truck, and like I said, that also allowed me to sell it with a full tank. I feel like that helps, that makes people happy. So everything I spent on the truck, grand total, I spent about $4,873.57. And based on what I thought the truck was worth, that left me plenty of room to sell it at a profit. Now, the way I kind of figure out what I'm going to sell these trucks for is, first, I look at the Kelley Blue Book value. It's usually fairly close. It gives you a range and you can kind of decide if you fit that range or not. This truck didn't have a bunch of aftermarket stuff done to it. It didn't have a bunch of, expensive wheels or fancy stereo or anything like that. So those are things that may or may not add value that Blue Book doesn't really account for. And basically the Blue Book value on the truck ranged from about $7,000 to $8,500. Then I go through Facebook Marketplace and I look at trucks as similar as I can find that have sold recently within 100 miles. I feel like most people are willing to drive, an hour, hour and a half for what they think is a good deal. And I found that similar trucks in similar condition were selling for about $8,000. Some that were a little nicer, a little bit more, some a little less nice, a little less, but $8,000 seemed to be my place where I wanted to be. Now, here's something that I did differently, and I'm happy with how this worked out. Typically, when I try to sell things, vehicles, parts, anything like that in the past, I have listed them at what I thought was a bargain of a price. Now, this does a couple things. One, it gets your listing a ton of attention very quickly, which is good for the Facebook algorithm that will then show it to more people. The bad thing about it is it gets you a ton of messages from people that are just going to waste your time. And a good example of that was that red crew cab. I listed that thing for sale at a price that I thought was a good deal. And the problem with that is I got hundreds of messages about that truck, and only a few of them, I would say out of 100 messages, only 5 or 6 of them were people that were actually serious, had the money, were going to show up and test drive the truck and actually be a buyer, not just someone sending messages and wasting time on Facebook. So on this truck, I applied a different approach. I went with, I'm going to list it for sale for more than I think it's worth. Maybe I'll get lucky and somebody will see more value in it than I do. But at the very least, it should weed out a bunch of those time wasters. And from what I can see and from how the sale of this truck went, that's exactly what it did. So I initially listed the truck for sale for $9,000, and I got like 3 messages of people sending lowball offers. If you've sold anything on Facebook Marketplace, you know that happens all the time. But outside of that, I really didn't get much more attention, so I knew I was too high. So I lowered my asking price to $8,500. $8,500 got me 5 or 6 messages, of which like 3 of them were people that actually wanted, not sending a lowball offer, not asking if I would negotiate, people asking if they could schedule a time to come see and drive the truck. So I was already doing better than before. I had, of those 3 people, 2 of them actually came and drove the truck, but then tried to lowball me on the price, and we couldn't come to an agreement. I left it sitting at $8,500 for about another week, and had somebody message me who needed a truck, said he thought the truck was worth my asking price, and came to take it for a drive. He drove it, said he loved it, asked if I would work with him on the price. Everybody always does. They always want a discount, and offered me $7,000, to which I said, no thanks, I'll keep it. We went back and forth a little bit, and we agreed on a sales price of $7,800. And that was a place where, you know what, it wasn't everything that I think the truck was worth, but the man was here and he was ready to buy it, and we were close enough that I didn't want to lose the deal. I didn't want to answer any more messages or sit on the truck. I wanted to sell it. And he was happy to pay that price. So we did the deal. I sold the truck for $7,800. That netted me a profit of $2,921.43. I honestly would have liked to do a little bit better on this truck, just because of the amount of time and effort it took to get it through the enhanced inspection. Had it just been a clear title truck that all I had to do was transfer the title and then sell it, I would have been very happy with that profit margin. But the extra time and effort it took to get it through the enhanced inspection and the reconstructed title process, that kind of, it just made me less excited, right? So, I mean, still a great profit margin of a, you know, of a $4,900 investment to then get, you know, almost $3,000 just for my time was worth it. I think total on this truck, I had about 62 hours invested into the truck, and that was, you know, trying to keep pretty good track of my time. I'm okay with that. You know, about a week and a half worth of work, way longer than that because I only work a couple hours at a time. But, you know, a week and a half worth of working hours, that's not bad. I'm happy with that. So the the juice was worth the squeeze. I think if the truck had had a clear title, I could have sold it for probably $2,000 or $3,000 more than I did. But the reconstructed title knocked down my resale value, and it took more work than I really think I want to do again. So that's it on that one. It's gone. It's at a new home. The guy actually doesn't live very far away, so I'll probably see the truck around in passing. And like I said, he was happy with the deal. I'm happy with the deal. That truck is gone. I can apply those funds towards other projects now and keep things moving along. If you're curious, all said and done, I paid myself about $47 an hour working on that truck, which certainly not a bad hourly rate, but not really where I like to be with my time. I typically try to make my value per hour a bit higher than that. But again, this was the first time I've done a salvage title to a salvage certificate to a reconstructed title. If I see another truck that I think there's great opportunity in selling with a reconstructed title, I would do the work again, but I'd have to have an opportunity for a higher profit margin than this one did. So I really think that's it, guys. If you have questions, if I missed something or you're just curious about it, drop it in the comments below. My big takeaways from this truck too, this was my first time doing any kind of body work, and I'm pretty happy with how the rockers and cab corner came out on this truck. They looked great. Even the gentleman that bought it and the other couple people that came to look at it said they looked great, like they never would have suspected they were replaced, that was the goal I was going for. So it gives me some confidence going into some of the other projects I have around here. And I was also really happy to just get that engine out of my way, guys. I don't know when I would have used that thing. I'm sure eventually I would have, but it's nice to have that little bit of space cleared up with everything else that I have going on down here. So that's it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching. And until the next video, everybody, take care.